Hello fellow FPL managers and welcome to a Game Week 15 preview. It's the midweek matches. This video will be a little bit faster I think today. Sort of less stats based. I don't have the time to go into a lot of research about all the last 4 game weeks. But to be honest, I think it's a little bit more straightforward this week when we're looking at players who you could bring in for perhaps injured players and players who are in top form who you could they did really well on the weekend and you can imagine them doing really well in the midweek and to an extent to the following weekend as well. So a really quick look. Game week 14, if you're in on the stream, I said I was having a headache about Vardy, Salah and Mane as my captaincy. I wanted to try and climb the ranks from 1.2 million. So I went for Salah and it backfired and I'm down to 1.6 million now. It was just a really poor game week. You can see my forwards saving me a little bit of pride there with Jimenez, another attacking return, and Jamie Vardy. I mean, I've missed out on a couple of points. It wasn't... it wouldn't have made a huge difference just going across the rest of my team. I've got Willem sat there with a goal and 7 points on the bench. But yeah, it was just a poor game week when I only had an assist and a goal from my forwards, nothing from my midfield at all, and a double assist from TAA, but still another goal conceded there by Liverpool. So we're just going to go on from the games from game week 14. Just to have a quick look down. So Man City again, heads are still down. A lot of us are selling those City assets and with good reason. But ignore the result because at the end of the day, the people have Sterling and they have Kevin De Bruyne and they were the 2 goals. So again, that did hurt a lot of people's game week rank. Mine included. Palace with a 2-0 win away from home, which is really great actually. I think it's a really, really good result for Crystal Palace. But I did say last week when I go on to review the players who I suggested for the previous game week, I said that they're in the top 5 in the calendar year Premier League table. So when are we going to stop underestimating Crystal Palace, I think is going to be the question there. Chelsea with a shock loss. A lot of people got rid of Tammy Abraham because of that injury. We were unsure about it. A lot of people keep jumping on Pulisic and maybe jumping off Mount. Maybe it's just a blip, but I think that's back-to-back defeats now. West Ham hadn't won in 7 or 8 games, and they went and did a really good job. And it was really touching the goalkeeper Martin. You know, his dad's a club legend, so there's a nice little story there. And I think he was he 10 points he got in that game? So nice if he was your backup keeper, and he somehow made it onto the pitch. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1, real shocker from Alisson. Don't know what he was doing to get that red card. A lot of people, Klopp included, was saying about how unfair it was that the free kick was taken and Adrian wasn't ready. At the end of the day, the free kick, and this is the actual rules, the free kick is it's the victim, the team that has been judged to have given away the foul don't have the right. If the attacking team wish to take the free kick and they confirm with the referee and the referee has blown his whistle, they don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. If they make a cynical foul or even just a normal foul, you'd have to wait for the people who did the crime, so to speak, to organize themselves. It's not your advantage, it's their advantage. So Duncan asked the referee, can I go? The referee blew his whistle, he can kick. You don't have to wait for the defenders team or the offending team to get ready. So I disagree with that. But the worrying thing here for me as a Salah owner and Salah in general was, I think it was something like 18 touches the entire game. I think it's Dale Stevens, the Brighton midfielder, had like 65 touches. We're talking about Mo Salah here right now. And with the likes of the Spurs assets coming forward now and doing pretty well under Mourinho, that's just another sort of nail in Salah's coffins for a lot of people. I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to try and have a little patience. I've had him all season. So I'm hoping he's going to sort of turn that form around because he can. He's got the quality where he could just turn it on like a switch and he's going to get yourself a hat-trick. And let's not forget, they've got Bournemouth coming up soon. Remember, I think it was last season when a lot of people got rid of Salah just before that Bournemouth away game. Oh no, it was the season before when he got that like hat-trick, that huge monster haul after a lot of people got rid of him. I still think he's a great option. Spurs 3, Bournemouth 2. Again, Spurs going ahead and then letting the team sort of catch up behind them. They could have even got an equaliser, then their Bournemouth double from Wilson. Harry Wilson, not the troll Callum Wilson, that is. But again, Dele Alli could have got a hat-trick, and we'll talk about him more in the players to suggest. In the stream, I'd actually said if I were to choose one gun to my head, I would go for Dele Alli. And it turns out he got 2 goals. Southampton 2, Watford 1. A cheeky goal there for Danny Ings. Considering it was scooped up and it was a handball. Don't know how VAR missed that one. Norwich 2, Arsenal 2 was on. I think I'm not too sure what you guys saw in England. So on the Sunday it was Norwich against Arsenal, which was Pookie Cantwell. So it's like flashback to game week 2 or 3, and then Aubameyang with a brace. So if you've got an Arsenal asset, it was probably Aubameyang again. That one was a real rank killer for a lot of people. And those zombie teams that have still got, you know, Cantwell and Pookie playing all the time, that also hurt a lot of people. And then the game that I watched, which I said last week it was going to be an interesting one, Wolves against Sheffield United, and it was interesting. Sheffield United, so I watched this one for 90 minutes, and Sheffield United do look like a great side. Like, they're so organised, and they don't just sit in the back and soak up pressure and play boring long ball football. They look actually really decent. Like, they look like a top 12 side. Like, if you told me now, like, okay, they'll finish the season in 9th or 10th place, I would say yes. From all the football I've seen so far, they deserve it. And Wolves equally were great. They were really slow to start off with. Sheffield United came out of the blocks. But again, coming to the players to suggest, and a player I myself, Jimenez is so key. And actually tweeted out saying that if Jimenez played for a side that was a little bit better on the ball, a little less wasteful, so Traore and particularly Diego Jota lost a lot of chances. A couple of the runs that and the movement that Jimenez has is absolutely fantastic. And if you played for a team that could just thread that through ball, like they do have players, they've got Neves and Moutinho that can do that, but when they hit them on the counter and it's Traore and Jota going down the side and Jimenez makes that lovely run, there was about 3 to 5 times, and just 3 to 5 times just for Diego Jota himself, where a simple ball through to Jimenez and he'd been one-on-one. So that was really good for me to watch as a Jimenez owner. The reason why I wanted to watch that game over the Norwich Arsenal game is because I had Lundstrom, Traore and Jimenez all playing in that match. And then we go on to the Monday for me. That would be Sunday evening for you guys. Leicester 2, Everton 1. Last gasp VAR clincher from Iniacho. And of course, Jamie Vardy scoring again. And United 2, Villa 2. Apparently Grealish had a great game. I couldn't see this game because it was too late for me to watch. You can see Rashford getting another assist. So we'll just have a jump quick into the reviews. And you can see... So when we look at the players, Rashford got an assist, Aubameyang double goal, Vardy goal, Mane blank, which is the only wrong one in that player to pick section. And differentials, you can see Danny Ings got a goal, Zaha, I said maybe bring him in a week early, and he got a goal. And Willian, I think this was finally the first game where he got dropped and they lost. So maybe that won't happen again. That might be hopefully is what's going to happen. So I made the transfer that I actually talked about, I think it was 3 weeks ago on stream, and I confirmed it even before this game week that I was still leaning towards it, and that is what a lot of people in the community seems to have done, and that is mount out Zaha in. And you can see Zaha, I'll talk about him in a minute when we go to differentials, but first go to players to pick. I just cannot, I know it feels obvious to say, but even now we're talking about captaincy, you cannot say Jamie Vardy. He's now, I believe, the most owned player at 46.5%. And I was trying to get up the rank. I was saying, right, let's go Salah, let's go differential captaincy pick. It turned out he actually was the 3rd most popular captain, so it wasn't even that much of a differential. But, you know, let's try and go up the rankings. And the way that Vardy's delivering, it's just pointless. Like, Vardy looks like he's going to get at least a goal a game. He looks like he's going to get at least 7-8 points every single match. And that's just straight away making me having to have my differential captaincy pick score 2 goals in a game. And that's just too much pressure. He's got the form. fantastic form. He's playing Watford, managerless bottom at home. I know it's midweek, but they don't have any European football to worry about. He's the talisman of the team. That's the idea, that the goals pretty much usually involve him, and there's no one really to replace him. There's not like a striker waiting in the wing. Yeah, you could argue in the actual, but I think he'll be coming more on the wing than just on for Jamie Vardy. So for captaincy pick, if you want to go differential, that's where Lundstrom comes in. So you can see Lundstrom is a player to pick for me. At home to Newcastle, remember, we're talking about a team that often struggles for goals, and Sheffield United are so good at home, and even away, they still get to lose away from home. And you're looking automatically of a clean sheet because he's a defender in the game, right? And we all know he's like an attacking mid. So he's got 6 points and he's got that potential to get a goal. So it just feels like, again, I know he's high owned, but this is why it's in the players to pick section, the slightly more obvious section. But I just felt like this is actually the first time I think I've really recommended starting him at the very least, or if you want that differential pick, because I have seen it a lot on Twitter, people putting the captain's armband on him, which I don't think is a bad shout. At home, Newcastle aren't particularly great at finding the back of the net, especially on the road. So he could be another option if you didn't just want to copy everyone and go Jamie Vardy. And then the last one here, my strike partner for Jamie Vardy, and that's Raul Jimenez. So again, we're going back to form and fixtures. They've got West Ham and then they've got Brighton away, but he's actually been doing exceptionally well. So he got 5 points against Sheffield and 7, 9, 9. So he's on a good roll. He's got 3 goals and an assist in the last 4 games. And I know West Ham seems to have been a little bit revitalised, but they are going away from home. I know they've just beaten Chelsea on the road, but Wolves still look good, and Jimenez is in good form. So going on to differentials, and this is the player that I talked about last week, and a player that I could be bringing in if Salah goes out. It would be Ali coming in, and I can upgrade Tielemans to like Kevin De Bruyne. So that's something. Which would be a pretty good move, I think, in my opinion. That's what is going to be the next one. And I know he's against United, and a lot of people have put off Spurs assets because of the fixtures. But, you know, if at the end of the day, let's not forget that Spurs are supposed to be a top 4 side. So these kind of fixture teams, it's only really against Liverpool and Man City you should really be sort of scared about. They're going to United away from home, who have just drawn at home to Aston Villa and not in great form. Then they've got Burnley at Tottenham. So again, I think that's winnable. Wolves away isn't great, and then Chelsea at home, but then Brighton, Norwich, Southampton. It might be a good time to bring Dele Alli in now, especially, you know, he got 15 points and 5 points in the last 2 game weeks, but 2 goals, could have been 3, could have been 4 goals. And Mourinho's come out and said, you know, people saying, whoa, what's changed? Like, Dele Alli is back. It's, you know, he's back to his old best, and he's just literally said, oh, because I'm playing basically up front or just behind Harry Kane. So you sort of bring in it, and for 8.5 million and only 4.1% ownership, you're sort of bringing in a player that is in really good form. He's getting this new manager life from Jose Mourinho. Even Heung-min Son went on record saying, you know, the gaffer, so Jose Mourinho, has brought a bit of jokes, a bit of ease, a bit of life back into the club. I don't think he was having to go at Pochettino, but, you know, and you get in a top 4 player. Spurs are a top 4 side, who's basically up front next to Harry Kane for 8.5 million. I know a lot of people say Heung-min Son is higher owned, but he's a lot more expensive. I think it's 1.3 million difference. I mean, for me, it's either I get Heung-min Son and maybe like a Maddison, or I'm able to get Kevin De Bruyne and Dele Alli. And I think that as a partnership is a lot better. And again, 4.1% ownership is in my opinion, a lovely deal, and one that I'll be doing after the Manchester United game. But similar to what I said about Zaha for the Burnley away game, maybe bringing in that 1 week earlier whilst that form is still really red hot. Danny Ings as well, a player that I suggested last week. His goal record sort of speaks for itself. I believe it's 7 goals for the season. Let's double check that. Yeah, 7 goals for the season. He scored in the last 3, 2 blanks, and then scored in 3. So here, for those superstitious people, it looks like he does 3 goals, blank, blank, 3 goals, you know, so game goal, blank, blank. So if that's going to happen, then he's going to be blanking at home to a Norwich side who are seen as the worst defence in the league. So he's in good form. A lot of people get worried about his injury record. I completely understand that, but if you did it last week, that's a good shout. But again, it looks like Abraham, 25 to 50% chance of playing. The Lampard press conference is going to be coming up very, very shortly, so we'll get some more information there. But you know, if you or do you just want to change your third striker, you want to play three at the front, may have a punt on Danny Ings, 6.2 million, good form. And then finally, it felt like every man and his dog was going from Mount to Zaha. So I mentioned this a few weeks ago, and I mentioned it on the stream before the game week 14 that Zaha in for Mount was going to be my move. That's why I suggested him last week, because I said if you wanted to be more brave than I and bring in Zaha that week earlier, it might pay you back, and he did. But actually, surprisingly, he still has now still under 10% ownership. So just remember that all the times that you see certain people on Twitter or on Reddit or on any kind of social media changing to Zaha or talking about Zaha and thinking, well, I want to have a differential, I don't want to be the same as everyone else. Just remember to actually have a look at the stats of just how many people actually do it, how many people actually, you know, make the transfer, maybe just following the same sort of like-minded kind of people. But I still feel like 9.9%, and I wouldn't be surprised if this pops up to 10.5%. I still think that's a pretty good differential. I don't think that is particularly high owned. I always feel like if I have a player under 15%, or especially under 20%, I kind of feel this guy is a little bit special. I'll get some good returns. I'll get a good rank rise if they return. So I still feel as though around 10% is a pretty good ownership. So if that was putting you off, don't. If Zaha being a bit of a troll, then I completely understand. This is like Callum Wilson-esque. People who have hurt us before. But the arguments I made last week are the arguments I'll make again this week. He scored now 2 goals in 2 games. Similar to what I said about Jamie Vardy and about Raul Jimenez, they are the talisman of the side. There's no one there to replace them. So if you're worried about Christmas rotation, you shouldn't, because Zaha is irreplaceable on the pitch. Vardy is basically irreplaceable. Jimenez is basically irreplaceable. So you're looking at players that are unlikely to get rotated out. They're in really good form and they've got good fixtures. So I think that's going to be it. I'm going to wrap it up at surprisingly around 17 minutes long. I thought it was going to be a little bit faster. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. It is a little bit of a fast turnaround. I'll try and get a video out on Thursday, or maybe just stream on Friday and try and turn that into a weekend preview, but we'll see how it goes. All depends on time. I've got an MRI scan on my back tomorrow, and my hamstring is getting worse, actually. The bruising is coming out all over the back of my leg now, so I'm in quite a bit of pain, but we'll just see how it goes. But thank you for watching the video. If you've made it to the end, maybe subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, or if you have any suggestions that you want to see, you want to maybe rearrange the kind of method of the video or any other kinds of videos, you want to focus on captaincy pick or transfers and things like that, then let me know in the comments below. I always appreciate any kind of conversation down there, any transfer ideas or rate my teams or anything like that. I always try and get through them. So thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, have a good one.